You're watching a CBS 6 special presentation of Heroes Among Us with Greg McQuaid.
Well, good evening. I'm Greg McQuaid. People all around us are doing amazing things for each other. Sorry about that.
You're watching a CBS 6 special presentation of Heroes Among Us with Greg McQuaid.
Well, good evening. I'm Greg McQuaid. People all around us are doing amazing things for others each and every day. Simple acts of kindness that might go unnoticed. We call these people Heroes Among Us, and tonight we'll highlight their inspiring stories. We begin with a retired educator whose persistence is the reason so many of us get to enjoy nature by helping save Richmond's parks.
Come on, baby boy.
Kathy Prophet and Max.
It's so nice today.
Fixtures at bucolic Bandy Field.
It's my heart and soul.
But among these tranquil trails and trees, a battle has been raging around these best friends for 15 years.
Good boy.
At stake, the future of Kathy and Max's urban oasis.
I don't know what I'd do if I didn't have this place here.
Deemed excess land, Richmond leaders considered selling the property to the highest bidder. The plans were met with fierce resistance.
Well, the fight began in 1999.
Leading the charge,
My full name is Charles Kemper Price.
a 75-year-old former educator who never thought much of land conservation.
This was sort of a calling.
But Dr. Charles Price just couldn't stomach the thought of stores and subdivisions rising on this spot.
It sort of instills in you some solemnity and tranquility.
Dr. Price, along with the Friends of Bandy Field, started lobbying City Hall to save the 18 acres without much luck. Months of rejection turned into years, but Dr. Price wouldn't be discouraged. Dr. Price set his sights on the much larger James River Park system.
You don't get to commune with nature when you have nothing but concrete, glass, and steel.
In 2009, a conservation easement was placed along the shoreline, meaning no development now or forever.
We're going this way.
But Bandy Field had no such protection. City Hall wasn't budging, but Dr. Price kept pushing.
Parks belong to the people.
Price's dogged persistence finally pays off. City Council reverses course and in March voted to protect Bandy as well.
Like Motel 6, he's kept light on this issue for 15 years.
How excited is Kathy?
I was speechless. I didn't know what to say.
During a recent walk, she met the man responsible for saving her favorite spot.
Oh, thank you so much.
While most people his age choose a slower pace or rounds of golf, Dr. Price actually dedicates his retirement to saving our open space.
I would make that sacrifice again.
Dr. Charles Price, a humble man who shies away from the spotlight, but he relishes knowing best friends who come after him
Good boy.
will enjoy the fruits of his labor.
The glorification comes when you accomplish what some people would consider an insurmountable goal.
I'm right beside you, baby. Come on.
Well, Dr. Price doesn't want credit for saving Bandy Field. He says it was a sort of team effort that he hopes will inspire others to save our natural resources. While Dr. Price is fighting for our parks, one Richmond pediatrician is fighting for children. Instead of handing out lollipops after a checkup, she hands out an even sweeter gift.
People ask me why I'm so happy. I'm happy because I feel like I'm part of this.
As a pediatrician,
You want a hug, I know. Come on, Gabriel.
Dr. Carolyn Boone treats many ailments,
So the day he's in for his 4-month shots,
from tummy aches and ear infections to common colds.
his color looks good, am I right?
But one of the biggest disorders she fights on a daily basis
I give him a book.
is illiteracy.
We're winning. We are winning. One child at a time. Say,
Dr. Boone has been serving the underprivileged at her practice in the heart of downtown Richmond
You excited to be out for the summer?
for nearly 30 years.
And I just said, this is my extended family.
Thanks to a partnership with Reach Out and Read,
Look at this. So that could be his little first book.
books here are as important as baby aspirin.
Of course, a book is not going to treat an ear infection, but maybe while he's being treated for that ear infection, the mother's reading a book to him.
The doctor drives home the importance of reading as a family early on.
We see at 6 months of age, they have a hard book. They're looking at the pictures, they may put the book in their mouth, but it's still a book.
Dr. Boone's love of literature stretches back to her childhood.
I grew up very poor, but what I had was books.
Carolyn's foster mother instilled an appreciation of reading so many years ago.
She believed in me, and she told me that I could pass this on. And I think I'm hoping that I'm passing it on. I think I am.
Dr. Boone's patients are heeding her advice.
It's very important to know that she's going to be learning every time she comes to the doctor and getting the book every time she leaves.
The book therapy is paying off.
Their imagination, they can do anything.
Some of her former patients have graduated from Princeton, UVA, and Harvard.
Look at you, you just smiling up a storm. Yes, you are.
And that makes for one proud pediatrician.
They need that support. They need someone to believe in them. And I get my rewards every day.
Whether they're healthy or feeling under the weather,
Can you believe how much they grow, Mama?
children leave Dr. Carolyn Boone's office with a prescription.
I love what I do.
A prescription for success.
You can do anything. You can do anything. We have to believe in them, and we have to give them the tools. And part of the tool is reading. I'll see you next time. Okay.
I'll reach out and read. The organization which works with Dr. Boone delivers more than 200,000 books a year to 160 programs all across Virginia. Dr. Boone says by far the two most popular books she hands out are Where the Wild Things Are and Clifford the Big Red Dog. The world can be hard to navigate when you are confined to a wheelchair. Some people say always relying on others feels like being trapped in your own home. It's the reason that one Chesterfield hero is helping hundreds in our region regain their freedom.
I think it's a God-sent blessing.
Emily Hicks can't contain her excitement. A new addition arrives at the 84-year-old's home in Hopewell. An army of volunteers installing a bridge to the outside world.
I fall so much and I need it in bad.
It's a streamlined wheelchair ramp. What used to take a day or two to install now rises in just a few hours.
Thank God for people like them, Project Home.
The modular ramp design is Joe Detzer's creation.
We do it in stages.
Built in a warehouse and delivered in sections.
Each takes about half a day.
Joe has installed hundreds of ramps for the nonprofit Project Homes since 1998.
You've got to put yourself in their shoes.
The ramps help people with disabilities live a normal life, an issue close to the 68-year-old's heart. The Army veteran was diagnosed with early-onset Parkinson's disease in his early 30s, not long after being exposed to Agent Orange serving in Vietnam.
It was pretty devastating.
This veteran, who must use a walker, says giving up in the face of physical challenges was never an option.
I've been told that I'm pretty stubborn and wanting to get things done.
Many of the clients that we serve have been on the waiting list for a while.
Project Homes' Ann McNeil says Joe has revolutionized the wheelchair program.
When Joe started actually working with groups to install this ramp, the ramp production doubled.
Joe contends building the ramps has kept the effects of Parkinson's at bay.
It's helped me get through a lot of the difficult times.
Joe definitely fits the bill of being a hero.
Joe says, who knew a few nails, some wood, and a hammer could make such a difference in his life and others, like Emily Hicks.
A great deal of satisfaction, a real charge to see people's reactions.
He's a very driven man and very kind man, and he has one of the biggest hearts I know.
Well, Joe says the physical challenges linked to the Parkinson's is forcing him to reduce his responsibilities at Project Homes, but he's still an integral member of the team. One of his most satisfying moments after a wheelchair ramp was installed came when a housebound man was finally able to roll outside his home and retrieve his mail. In the coming weeks, Project Homes will install the 1,000th wheelchair ramp in the Richmond area. It is summertime. How are your children spending their days? We'll tell you why one woman makes it her mission to send area children to a summer camp that is like no other. And this young man, he wanted some spending money and looked for an allowance, but his mother gave him 2 words: earn it. Now he takes his paycheck and pays it forward. One teen's trashy story still ahead.
You're watching Heroes Among Us. Here is Greg McQuaid.
Welcome back. It started with the mother telling her 9-year-old son He was not getting an allowance. He would have to work if he wanted some spending money. That simple lesson has turned into a charitable movement a whole neighborhood is backing and is very proud of.
I enjoy being able to be a part of the community.
Frank Barksdale III is a young man on the move.
Hopefully I can take it as far as I can.
Frank lives by the motto, one man's trash is an entrepreneur's treasure.
My mom and my dad told me that if I wanted my own money, I had to go out and make it.
No allowance here. The 16-year-old works for every penny in his pocket. For 7 years, the Trinity Episcopal Jr. has been hauling garbage, and not just his family's refuse.
I had an idea that I wanted to start my own business to help give back to the community and also to be able to have a little bit of pocket change.
Yes, every Sunday, rain or shine, Frank pulls his neighbor's trash cans on Richmond's Kensington Avenue to the curb.
The time that is the most tough is, I would say, in the snow. It's very hard to open gates and it's just cold and miserable.
14 customers in all, paying 75 cents a week for Frank's services. That's $10.50 a week total.
It's definitely taught me that when I grow up, I'd like to be an entrepreneur and also be my own employer.
The soft-spoken teen doesn't blow through his earnings buying video games or the latest must-have sneakers.
At the end of my first year, around December, I decided that I wanted to give back to the community.
Frank actually donates a portion of his salary to the American Red Cross.
Whenever I saw a disaster or anything happen on TV, it was always the Red Cross that it pointed towards, so I decided to donate $100 of my earnings to the Red Cross that year. And every year since, I've donated a little bit more.
So far, Frank has donated $4,000.
Enormously proud.
Frank's mom, Antoinette, says the business is teaching her son a valuable lesson about commitment and responsibility.
When you decide that you're going to do something and people are relying on you to do it, that, you have to follow through.
Frank's neighbors appreciate his hard work and generosity.
My wife and I think the world would be a much better place if there were more kids like Trent.
Frank Barksdale III, a teenager who earns his allowance the old-fashioned way. He earns it and then gives back.
He always puts other people before himself. He always thinks of other people before himself, and he's done that since he was a young child.
If someone needs help, they know that they can call me and I'll do it for them.
Frank not only helps people in need, he also lends a helping hand to the environment as well. The 16-year-old is spending a chunk of his summertime working with the Virginia State Parks Conservation Corps, helping maintain the 1,500-acre James River State Park in Buckingham County. During that time, he's hired a subcontractor, one of his friends, to take out his clients' garbage. From small beginnings come great things. Coming up, the story of a young man whose journey to feed the city started with just one box of bologna sandwiches. And speaking of fighting hunger, one man wants to stamp out hunger in the city by what his organization does in the countryside.
You're watching Heroes Among Us. Here is Greg McQuaid.
Welcome back. Tonight, 1 in 7 people living in the Richmond metro area is going without a meal. And that number will likely be the same tomorrow and the day after that. Many nonprofit programs work to bring food to people who would otherwise go hungry. And those programs often rely on one man for a fresh, healthy selection.
I think access to healthy food is a right. It's a basic right.
At the 6-acre Shalom Farms in Goochland.
We have tomatoes, peppers, some watermelons eventually.
Growing food is just one of their goals.
We've got kale, we've got collards, we've got cabbage, we've got broccoli.
Dominic Barrett and his band of merry farmers.
What's being watered right now?
Want to help boys and girls blossom too.
Our goal is to collaboratively increase access to healthy food in urban Richmond at its most basic.
Dominic is the backbone behind Shalom's effort to move fresh produce 40 miles away into the heart of the city.
The Red Express looks pretty good over here.
Where fresh fruits and vegetables can be scarce.
It's a complex problem, so we want to find different approaches to make sure everybody at some point has a chance to access it and has a chance to fall in love with good food.
How much food are you growing here?
So this year we'll do about 85,000 pounds of fresh, local, sustainable produce. That's up from 16,000 our very first year.
They provide us with great produce during the summer, and it's the whole farm-to-table concept.
Much of the food that Dominic grows at Shalom Farms ends up here at Feedmore, where it's directly distributed to children through after-school and summer feeding programs.
He makes it happen. I mean, Dominic is the driving force behind it. He approached us about a collaboration years back, and we jumped on board immediately and have been partners ever since.
Shalom Farm has a great impact on the community.
Stephanie Carrington works at the Creighton Court Resource Center. She and her family have benefited from Dominic's food push firsthand.
It's a feeling I can't describe. Knowing my children are going to have fresh produce that is readily available to them, it's wonderful.
Shalom Farms, delivering vegetables children actually like to eat and keep coming back asking for more. And Dominic Barrett is happy to oblige.
I wake up almost every day with a smile on my face because I'm just so lucky and so blessed to be able to work and do what I love to do, which is share food, essentially.
Oh, Dominic Barrett is quick to point out that many people are responsible for getting the fresh produce where it is needed most, including his colleagues at Shalom Farms and the countless volunteers who lend a helping hand harvesting the fruits and vegetables. Dominic would call them heroes among us as well. 4 times a year, hundreds of volunteers descend on Richmond's Monroe Park, giving food, clothes, and even haircuts to the homeless. It's organized by a nonprofit group called RVA Feed the City, and it all started 5 years ago with just one man and a box of bologna sandwiches.
Change it up. What we're gonna do right now is change the pace a little bit.
One man.
I feel obligated and responsible to do something to help.
Many noble deeds.
One person can definitely make a difference.
Tamir Rock always considered himself a generous person, but the graphic artist from Richmond yearned to create even more goodwill.
I feel like everyone has a responsibility to give back, in some type of way.
Years ago, Tamir noticed something he never thought twice about: homelessness. On Thanksgiving in 2009, he and a friend carrying bologna and cheese sandwiches walked to Monroe Park to help the less fortunate.
We came out, we fed about 30 people.
Tamir's small, selfless act snowballed.
There was no plan to continue Feed the City every year. I thought it would just be a one-time event.
Today, along with hundreds of volunteers and donated items,
every year this seems to grow bigger.
Tamir's RVA Feed the City events provide clothing and other essentials, including haircuts, 4 times a year.
This past year, there was a guy who hadn't had a brand new pair of shoes in 7 years, and we was able to give him a brand new pair of Reeboks, and you would have thought he won $1 million.
This 31-year-old is tackling the issue of homelessness head on, certainly not for fame and fortune.
There's a lot of things that I get out of it. I don't make any money from doing this. It's just something I'm passionate about doing.
Tamir, what kind of satisfaction do you get out of Feed the City?
The satisfaction I get is the thank you. You helped me. You changed my day, my week, my life.
Tamir credits his parents for instilling in him a sense of compassion. He hopes his acts inspire others to give back.
When I come out to Monroe Park, I feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
We gotta change it.
Tamir Rock says he is proof positive. One small idea can change many lives.
Just change the pace a little bit.
Tamir Rock says his group would certainly not exist without the tireless efforts from the volunteers and all of the businesses that donate the food, clothing, and services. And Tamir recently took his show on the road. He and several volunteers traveled from Richmond to Los Angeles to help plant the seeds for a new Feed the City program in California. It certainly is summertime, and boys and girls, they are either coming back from camp or getting shipped off. We'll tell you why one Richmond area woman makes it her mission to send little ones to a camp they'll always remember. Welcome back. Summer camp, a time for boys and girls, big and small, to leave the rigors of the classroom behind and enjoy the outdoors. But many children with physical challenges might not have the ability or means to attend. That's where one Richmond area woman comes in, helping those boys and girls make camp a reality and a summer to remember.
Representing blue team, we have
Najee.
Along a lonely stretch of 460.
Oh, yeah, Miles.
Deep in the woods of Wakefield. Might just be the happiest place on earth.
It's almost a feeling that you can't describe.
Where smiles radiate and friendships forged.
This is my 3rd year here.
It's summer camp at its very best. From swimming and talent shows to pie eating contests.
Just seeing these kids, it's just the best thing in the world.
But look closely. Campers here lean heavily on dedicated counselors.
We just loved camp. It was a great experience for us.
Stephanie Colorado sees herself in the many faces of these children.
My sister and I first attended when I was 6 and she was 8.
For 13 summers in a row, Stephanie and her sister Aileen attended the MDA camp every June.
We were very close.
A place where their disabilities from muscular dystrophy were long forgotten.
It was just a real fun time.
The 37-year-old recalls her time at camp allowed her to feel like, well, a normal kid.
I never saw her without a smile.
Volunteer Hans Bernhardt remembers Stephanie fondly.
She's incredible. She's got a heart of gold.
Stephanie cherishes the lifelong memories of MDA camp and her older sister.
They're all happy memories.
Aileen passed away from pneumonia in 2011.
My sister rarely had a bad day.
The Chesterfield woman is making sure her sister's legacy lives on.
I'm kind of grateful that she was able to live a good life.
Stephanie raises money throughout the year to send children like Tori Hofert to the week-long excursion.
I don't know what I would do without this camp because it has changed my life.
Stephanie says all children living with MD should have their moment in the sun.
It just makes me feel good to know that other children are get to enjoy the same kind of things that I did growing up.
The Muscular Dystrophy Association bills this camp as the best week of the summer.
3.
And judging from the smiles, who can argue with that?
Unforgettable. I'll remember this week for the rest of my life.
Well, the MDA camp runs for 1 week every June. If you would like to donate to the Aileen Colorado Fund and help send a boy or girl to this very special place, we have a link on our website at WTVR.com. Hey, have you heard of something called the food desert? Places across the Richmond area where fresh fruits and vegetables are pretty scarce. We met a Henrico couple who are trying to shrink that food desert one watermelon at a time. Mark and Susie Lilly, they're doing their best to change the diets of people living in the East End at their farm stand on Mechanicsville Turnpike. The husband and wife team gather the freshest produce from farms all across Central Virginia for their nonprofit organization called Farm to Family. What they are doing is increasing accessibility to nutritious foods while saying goodbye to fast foods.
It makes me feel awesome. Especially when I have little kids come in and they gravitate towards something, they call it by name, they pick it up, Mommy, let's make this for dinner.
Farm to Family is currently holding a series of classes called Eat Your Way to Health. Details are on our website at WTVR.com. Richmond's South Side is home to a business that's been called the first of its kind in the United States. It offers an opportunity for some people they may otherwise never get. Over the last decade, this eatery has become an institution in the River City.
They understand immediately what we are when they walk in.
Like clockwork.
Hello there, how are you?
The hungry masses arrive at noon.
Actually, I think the most popular thing on the menu is the bacon burgers.
But the food here isn't the lone attraction for customers.
You got my sweet fries coming
The daily special at this eatery, confidence, capability, and communication.
Welcome to Positive Vibe Cafe.
Great to be here.
Jeremy Grisson.
Gets a little busy. Then you got to keep up with everybody, so.
A lunchtime fixture here.
But I can do it. How many people in your party?
Jeremy's job goes far beyond just rolling out the red carpet for guests.
Teach me independence, man. Like teaches me that I can do things on my own, and the wheelchair is not a obstacle.
Jeremy graduated from Positive Vibes training program for people living with physical or mental challenges.
All my friends that I've made here are like family, you know what I mean? We look out for each other.
For Jeremy, the 4-week class
it's a great thing.
Has evolved into 9 years of employment.
Thank you, Jeremy.
No problem.
The program was the brainchild of Garth Larson.
Yep.
Larson envisioned a place 13 years ago where the disabled, including his son Max, could learn valuable work skills.
And our motto was, we simply want to make it more difficult for an employer to say no.
Many of the graduates armed with new abilities move on to jobs in the service industry. Garth's initial goal, train about 5 to 10 workers a year.
Thursday night is our first one.
That number has already soared to 800 graduates in just a decade at the nonprofit.
It's the model that we want to present to people. There are still people, I think, that don't really understand that people with disabilities can do jobs well.
Like Jeremy.
Hey, welcome to Positive Vibe Cafe.
He's a rock, and he's the best person to greet when people walk into this restaurant.
All right.
Garth credits volunteers, customers, and his dedicated staff for making his dream a reality.
Everybody has a buy-in here, and that's what makes it work.
Right this way, sir.
Jeremy Grissom will forever be grateful that Garth not only hired him, but opened doors to an entirely new life.
He gave me the opportunity to show that I can work and be like everybody else. So he's like a great friend.
If you would like to visit Positive Vibe Cafe, it's located at 2825 Hathaway Road in South Richmond, just off of Forest Hill Avenue. There is a hotel in Richmond where guests feel more like family than customers. It's called the Hospital Hospitality House, and it is a home away from home for thousands of people every year who are caring for loved ones who are recovering in Richmond area hospitals. The staff not only welcomes people with open arms, they also lend a shoulder to lean on.
I just don't know what anybody could ask for, and I don't know what anybody would do if they didn't have a place like this.
7,000 people stay at the Hospitality House each and every year for a suggested donation of $15 a night. In this digital age, getting children to use their imagination to problem solve is a struggle for some teachers. But one woman traded in her traditional classroom to get some Henrico 4th and 5th graders ready to compete against the nation's brightest students.
Okay, are you guys ready to do an instant challenge?
The classroom.
Is someone using a pencil?
In life, it comes in all shapes and sizes.
Hair shape.
For these elementary students,
Come on, guys.
they're learning more than just the 3 R's in Heather Jarvis's garage.
You will have 2 minutes to use your imagination.
The mother of 4 volunteers her precious time at school, her church,
This is a performance challenge.
and leads the 4th and 5th graders on an educational journey 2 times a week,
Discuss possible solutions.
issuing brain-twisting challenges.
Begin.
Rip off a piece of tape, tape the toilet paper roll on top and the balloon on bottom and pick it up.
Heather's goal, help the boys compete with the most intelligent students in the world through the Destination Imagination Competition.
Ready?
She's really dedicated in pushing us forward.
It's really focusing on creativity and teamwork and problem solving.
It's all just about being with your friends, having great ideas, building stuff.
The River's Edge Elementary School Rangers, 7 boys whose specialties are math, science, and teamwork.
We do have a lot of crazy ideas.
This pint-sized group is rewriting school history. The young boys took top honors regionally and placed among the elite finishers statewide. Now they're heading for the Globals at the University of Tennessee, sort of like the Olympics for the brain.
You know, Mrs. Jarvis, I think, really just means the world to these students.
She's like almost a second mom.
Present your performance to the appraisers.
Clearly, she has many other things going on in her life, and just putting us as a part of that, that's very special to me. Hello, Mr. President, this is the engineering control.
I love the program, I love the boys, and I'm happy to have them here.
Without their supportive coach, these boys admit jumping from a garage to tackling the globe would be nearly impossible.
I definitely think we will not be at Globals if we didn't have Miss Jarvis.
Heather Jarvis's volunteer efforts do not end at her garage. To help raise money for the upcoming trip, Heather's been leading the fundraising efforts for the Globals competition through donut, lemonade sales, and car washes. The Magnificent Seven, known as the River's Edge Rangers, will leave for the competition in Tennessee early next week. I'm Greg McQuaid, CBS 6 News. Coming up, he has been on the earth for more than 90 years, and he has witnessed firsthand the best and worst humanity has to offer. We'll tell you why others call him a hero, even if he won't say that about himself. And she's been on this earth less than 5 years, but this little lady has already made huge sacrifices to help children who aren't as fortunate as her. Welcome back. It has been more than 70 years since the day the world will never forget. One moment, thousands of Americans stormed the beaches or parachuted into German-occupied France. We're talking about D-Day. The soldiers and sailors' fearless acts could turn the tide of the Second World War. I spoke to one of those heroes, a veteran from Henrico County who took part in the battle for Normandy.
I just can't think of myself as being tough.
Jack Burke wants to know where the time has gone. How can 7 decades slip by so fast?
This is a picture.
Over time, some memories may fade.
That's when I came home.
But one moment will forever remain razor sharp.
I was in the 5th Rangers, A Company.
On June 6, 1944, the then 21-year-old found himself wading through a sheet of murderous steel.
The Germans wouldn't fire until they dropped the ramp, and then he shot them as they came off.
Jack stormed ashore at Omaha Beach in France on D-Day.
This machine gun just hit the water right in front of me, and that was the first inclination that somebody was after old Jack Burke.
He and his fellow Rangers pushed ahead. Their ultimate goal, liberate Europe from the Nazis.
We had a high casualty rate, but everybody hung together and we accomplished every mission we went after.
The soldiers' accomplishments didn't come without paying a heavy price.
I lost a lot of guys who were wounded and a lot of guys who were killed.
A few months after D-Day, Jack received terrible news. His brother Tom would be killed in the Battle of the Bulge.
I walked down, and about 3 graves down from my brother was Charlie Portell, A Company 5th Rangers, one of my buddies. I cried like a baby.
Can you believe it's been 70 years?
No, I can't.
All these years later, Jack appreciates the handshakes and thank yous offered by strangers, but he's a little uncomfortable with the label of hero.
There's so many guys that were there that deserve credit that will never get it because they're buried.
With the anniversary of D-Day upon us, Jack is counting his blessings that he was able to live through one of the most difficult days in U.S. history.
I proved to myself, not only on D-Day, but through the war, that I held myself together mentally and physically, and I did what I was supposed to do. So I'm proud of that.
Following World War II, Jack Burke graduated from college and went on to a successful career in sales. Mr. Burke has returned to Normandy 4 times over the years to visit the D-Day beaches and his brother's grave. Jack says they are trips he will always cherish. Who says heroes need to be big and strong? Wait until you hear the story of this little girl who sacrificed something she loved so much so that another child could get something they desperately needed.
You're watching Heroes Among Us. Here is Greg McQuaid.
Well, acts of kindness come in all shapes and sizes and ages. Just ask one little Goochland girl. 4-year-old Sienna Doherty right there recently noticed a sick child without hair at a pool. Her mother says that from that day on, Sienna could not stop thinking about that little girl. Then the family heard about a way to help by going to a salon, getting a haircut, and donating her beloved locks to the Wigs for Kids program, which provides children suffering from hair loss with wigs made from real hair.
When they open it, there's like a lot of hair, and they like put on, and it looks beautiful. And I just cut it off for you, and I wanted to be your best friend.
Such a cutie. By the way, the stylist cut off nearly 10 inches of Sienna's hair, a big deal for a little girl whose favorite Disney character is Rapunzel. But Sienna says she would do it all over again to help someone else in need. Here's a question. Do you know someone who is a hero among us? Someone who goes above and beyond to help others? We can't shine the light on them without help from you. So here's what you need to do. First, visit WTVR.com. Then click on the Heroes Among Us tab. Fill out that form, include your name, contact information, and the name of your hero, and then send it in. You can also email us directly. Just send an email to heroes@WTVR.com. Then watch our weekly Heroes series Thursday nights on CBS 6 News at 6 o'clock. I'm Greg McQuaid. A big thank you to those heroes you met tonight, and thanks to you at home for watching.
This has been a CBS 6 special presentation of Heroes Among Us.